Hello everyone, welcome to our VBA tutorial series. Today's tutorial is going to be focused on a crucial part of programming: error handling and debugging. Despite our best efforts, errors are part of coding, and mastering how to handle and debug them can save you countless hours of frustration. So without further ado, let's dive into tutorial number 12, how to handle errors and debug Excel VBA code. One of the most common errors you'll come across as a beginner is a syntax error. Syntax errors are due to typing mistakes in your code, such as forgetting to close a parenthesis or misuse a keyword. Let's have a look at an example. Here we have forgotten to close the parentheses on the right side of the equation, causing a syntax error. As we run this code, VBA will immediately point out the mistake and highlight the problematic line, allowing us to correct the mistake. Another common type of error is the runtime error, which occurs during the execution of the program. Let's look at an example. Here we're trying to divide a number by 0, which is mathematically undefined and causes a runtime error. When we run this code, VBA will stop at the line with the error and display a division by 0 error message. To handle this error, we can use the onErrorResumeNext statement to tell VBA to move on to the next line if it encounters an error, like so. But remember, while onErrorResumeNext statement can be useful, it should be used sparingly, as it could mask significant problems in your code. Lastly, we have logic errors. These errors do not prevent your code from running, but lead to incorrect results. Let's look at an example. In this example, we're supposed to calculate the area of a circle. However, the formula used here is for the circumference of a circle, not the area, leading to a logic error. The code will run without any issues, but the output will be incorrect. Identifying and fixing logic errors requires a good understanding of the problem you're trying to solve and careful review of your code. Let's move on to a more efficient and user-friendly way of handling errors using onErrorGoTo statement and error handlers. This method allows you to define a specific subroutine to handle the error or direct the program to a specific line of code. Let's consider an example where we divide a number by 0, but this time we'll handle it more gracefully. In this example, we've defined a label ErrorHandler, and we've told VBA to go to this label if any error occurs using onErrorGoTo ErrorHandler. This allows us to write custom error messages and handle errors in a way that makes the most sense for our program. When we run this code, instead of the default error message, we see our custom error message printed in the immediate window. Now let's talk about another powerful debugging technique: stepping through your code. Sometimes, you might have a complex piece of code that isn't producing the expected results, and you can't figure out why. Stepping through your code allows you to execute your program one line at a time and observe the changes in variables or output at each step. For instance, let's consider an example. Here we have a simple loop that adds numbers from 1 to 5. We have a Debug.Print statement that prints the sum at each iteration. Having just demonstrated how the code prints results in the immediate window, let's now delve deeper and see the true power of debugging. We'll step through the same code to observe how the value of sum evolves after each iteration. This is a perfect example of how we can get real-time insights into our code and its execution process. Now with your code open, press F8. What you'll notice is that Excel executes your code line by line, with the current line of execution being highlighted. Now let's say you want to run your code until a specific point before you start scrutinizing every step. To do this, first select the line where you'd like your code execution to pause. You can then set a breakpoint on that line by simply pressing F9. With the breakpoint set, Pressing F5 will run your code as per usual, but the execution will halt once it encounters the breakpoint. At this pause in your code execution, pressing F8 will allow you to step through the remaining code, line by line. As you navigate through your code this way, you'll be able to watch your variables change in real time in the locals window and see your outputs displayed in the immediate window. This will not only help you better understand your code, but also make it easier to identify and rectify any issues. These are just a few ways you can debug and handle errors in VBA. Remember, debugging is an essential part of programming and the key to improving your code and becoming a better programmer. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials. Happy coding!